You're not going to believe this, but a new study has found that married people are actually happier. If you watch sitcoms, that doesn't seem to be the case. But yeah, there was a study on it. Let's take a look. This was reported in the New York Times. Being married makes people happier and more satisfied with their lives than those who remain single. Those who consider their spouse or partner to be their best friend get about twice as much life satisfaction from marriage as others. People have the capacity to increase their happiness levels by finding support in long-term relationships. So I thought this was kind of interesting because first off, yeah, everything in TV seems to show married people miserable, right? They're always miserable. The guy wants to go have fun and he's just a goofball and the woman's overbearing and wants to ruin his day. And we've also done tons of stories on how millennials and people mostly younger than us don't even want to get married. They're getting married much later, now in their 30s. There's very few people getting married in their 20s. So I thought this kind of flips things on its head for conventional wisdom.
So historically, when any of these studies come out, men report higher levels of happiness when they're married across all socioeconomic barriers, across all races. So we've already known for some time that men report being happier when they're married. Maybe that's because they have somebody to assist them in things, somebody that is, backs them up. Right, to cook and clean and take care of them. They found perhaps a mother, and women report being less happy. They don't stay the same. Women are unhappier.
Right.
That's starting to shift a little bit, I think, as we start to look for more partners. People in this New York Times study that described themselves happy while married also tended to describe their relationship as a friendship.
Right.
So to feel like you have somebody who has your back and is your peer and is your equal, of course that would make somebody happy to have somebody who's constantly there for you. And I think the further you feel separated from your partner, when it's a relationship either of convenience and the person's not your friend, you're going to be less happy because that's more work.
Right, so this friend relationship thing is kind of interesting, and it was making me think of When Harry Met Sally, the famous line of how men and women just can't be friends. At least a straight man and a straight woman can't be friends.
Such issue with that.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just take issue with the notion that men and women can't be friends, that sexual tension is always going to get in the way. That is just not the case. I have so many guy friends. My boyfriend would disagree. But I find
he would disagree.
Yeah, right.
Maybe, but that doesn't mean that I'm not friends with them.
But then you're not really just friends, because if the guy is talking to you, right, but that's one-sided. Then if the guy is like, yeah, we're friends, but I would totally bang you, then you're not just
But I don't
friends.
think it overwhelms the interaction every time that we have like a meal or see each other. It's like genuine friendship that goes beyond a physical attraction. I think entirely.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's also something to be said for two things. One, maturity, right? You get to be more mature, and I think you ultimately find that you're willing to sacrifice the amplitude of and unpredictability of relationships and dating for something that's more consistent. Maybe you never get to the same highs as when you're dating and you're infatuated and you're falling for someone, but you never have to deal with the lows of breakups and other devastating things that happen when you're doing that.
Yeah.
Right. That the contentment level may never reach here, but at least it's never reaching here, and you're just there. And when you get to a point where you just don't want to put up with the bullshit anymore, you're going to be happy that you found that.
Right, and I would guess that for many married couples, the happiness level does get there too, because there's all kinds of other rewards that they can get together, either through having children or doing whatever that a single person maybe can't do alone.
Well, this study seems to closely match like Maslow's pyramid. It seems that once you are able to be self-actualized in your life, like you're not searching for food or shelter, and once your socioeconomic bracket is such that you can search for self-actualization and happiness, you tend to find partners that you can also be friends with. It's not just a matter of survival and finding someone to not only procreate with, but to split the rent with. And if you look at this New York Times study that actually is reflected in this, it says that people that have a little bit more means and a little more flexibility in their lives tend to report that they're happier, but only when the relationship was at the point where this wasn't out of necessity, that they've chosen this relationship and it's not, scrambling to be with somebody.
Right. All right, so last thought on this. Do you think part of it also is that it just doesn't seem cool to be like, oh, I'm married and happy? Like, when you say that, it just doesn't seem cool as versus like, I'm single, I can do whatever the hell I want, I can do drugs and go out and have sex with whoever I want. Like, there's a cool factor there. So people...
There's a grass is always greener element too, though, and I think that, more and more people are, whether or not they're married, if they're in sort of a long-term partnership, you see that as very enviable if you're in a short-term partnership that's maybe rocky, or if you're single. I think that there's certainly something enviable in that, and everyone wants to strive for that.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Are you married? Are you single? Are you happy? Are you miserable? Let us know in the comments right down below.